The one thing that's not, we can't negotiate is we must come up with a 1.5 because we can't spend more. Oh my God. How we get there, that's what we've told folks. If you don't agree with how we say we're going to cut something out of somebody's department, then tell me how I get there. In other words, it's not enough to say, don't do this to us. I got to get $1.5 million. That's not negotiable. So tell me how. What bothered me a bit was, this information was for faculty. It was geared for faculty. I was working with SGA at that very time, met with SGA to talk about how we're going to do it. Bradley Fife and I had already talked about it. He sits on the Board of Regents. He knew about it. We had already started talking about it. They invited me in. We talked about it. We agreed on the portal. So the part that bothers me, if any part bothers me, is there was already a process to engage students independently of faculty for things that concern you, not about what you think concern faculty, but what concerns you about this. We'd already started that. We'd always planned to have students' voice. That's obviously your matter. So if I'm bothered by any of it, it is that that piece got overshadowed by faculty showing you something out of context. How's that? We have programs that we have for elimination, and we have the argument for them, and those are up for debate. Questions. The forums are not to discuss the merit of recommendations. So we're not going to go, because that's what the whole process is about, for people to give us responses. The forums are for clarity. If people don't understand a recommendation or don't understand a rationale, we say, well, let me share with you what I meant by X. It's not a debate what I meant by X. It is, in order for me to respond intelligently, I need to understand what you meant by that. That's what the forums are about. They're not about, let's debate your recommendation, because the whole process is about that piece. So, look, faculty are hard-working folks. I suspect that they will have lots of questions now that they've seen it. So it will help them provide their written response, which are due next week. So we're getting up to it.
When are these forums and where are they?
They are next week. They were during the snow. We canceled them. Again, those things are posted on the faculty web portal. Right? And so we posted those yesterday. So it's next week. Tuesday and Thursday, 2 days. I forget which, Monday and Tuesday, something like that. But those are for faculty and staff. The students would find that boring. You're going to have your own as soon as SGA puts it together. Discussion. So everything that you see here, not the directions on how to respond, but the actual self-study is in your student portal. You'll see exactly what the faculty saw.
On a Blackboard?
No, it's a web portal just like you would have seen if you go to the faculty web portal. It's one of those My Work sites or My Team sites. So when you get yours, you'll be directed there by SGA. You'll get an email from SGA that says, we're happy to do this. There it is. When you go to the portal, you see, welcome from me. Here it'll be, here's what's in the folders. Here are the folders. You'll read exactly what you saw here. And then there's a place for you to respond. Well, one of the things we looked at is how we are organized. And when you start changing things around, are we organized in a way? Since we're going through this program review, and if you eliminate a program, what happens to the ones that are left? And there are a lot of things that happen, right? When you do A, something happens to B and C. So as you saw here, we thought about, well, what should we look like moving forward? What can capture what we have available and we're removing? So what you'll see in there is some proposals for how we might organize. So I think in the College of Business, there's a new school, right? Took some existing ones and brought them over. There's a thing these days called informatics, and that's kind of the gist of where we might go. If everybody agrees, that might be something we do, because that is an area where students are getting work. Right? Not just computer science, called informatics. There's a whole bunch of data analytics, all of that, right? So we say, is that a place where we should think about going? And if we do that, what's the best way to do it? And one way is you bring departments together. You try to get them organized and say, when we bring these groups together, that's going to give us a much better opportunity to create this opportunity for students. So that's what you're seeing in some of the organization. Well, I think if you had the study, you would see what we say. So we have lots of data, but primarily it is this. students vote with their feet. If they're not enrolling in the program, if they're not graduating the program, this is not good for anybody. So obviously enrollment matters, right? But there are many other factors that might matter. We might have a program, for example, that enrollment, it could be better. You'll see that in there, there's a lot of what we call monitors. Most of those are in monitors, right? Almost every, if you looked at the preponderance of programs, most of them weren't touched at all. Most were, if you look at the end where programs were keeping, most we kept without any change. Just look at the numbers, add them up. Most were not changed. The next biggest category was called monitor, and monitor is we think there's some good opportunities for you, but you need to do some work. So the biggest category we changed nothing. The second biggest category we said you've got some opportunities here. You need to act on those opportunities. We even mentioned what some of those would be. For example, if we said to agree, you know, you need to move online, or you need to have open enrollment, whatever we thought they should do. And they get to give us a plan, an active plan by fall 16. So the first category is we change it nothing. The second category is, you know, we got good programs, but with a few tweaks here and there, we could even be better. But we want those tweaks to happen by this date, because eventually you got to act. Eventually you got to do something, right? Or you're atrophy and nothing happens. You know, the next group is called modify. Is we're going to keep you, but we're going to keep you differently. We got to make some changes to keep you. The smallest group is eliminate. Absolutely the smallest group. The biggest group is we're keeping. So, you know, if you think about a total, you know, we didn't take dramatic steps in terms of a program. And when we said to a program, eliminate, it was our judgment that, you know, it was just so far away from goodness, both in enrollment, student opportunities when they graduate, a whole host of things that, you know, we're probably not going anywhere. Now, maybe we're wrong, and the faculty and staff get to say, and the students, you're so wrong, and tell me why I'm wrong. If you can convince me I'm wrong, and we're going to take you out of that group. But here's the good news. When we get to the end of this process, however it works out, you know, we can now think about moving forward. In other words, if we do eliminate programs, one of the, of course, benefits is that you recover, and then you use those funds to invest in areas that students want a degree in. But as I've said to you and the President said, we only have a very small pool of money, and it's getting smaller. And we have to make sure we invest our money in programs that do you the best good, because you are our partners, you're our clients. So if I'm offering degrees that no one's going into, or very little, few people, and then I can't, because I'm doing that, I can't offer you the degree that you really would go for, or enough of that degree, then I'm not serving you well. And that's my job. My job is to make sure you have what you need to be successful.
So if you have students already enrolled in these programs that end up needing to be eliminated, but they're still enrolled in fall 2016, will they continue with that?
Absolutely. Nothing. If you're in a program, you finish that program. Well, and again, in the short term, sadly, some students, I think, were upset. I think unnecessarily. You know, because I think a lot of misinformation got out, and oh my God, you're going to eliminate this, and I'm not going to have a degree, or these great faculty I love are going to be gone next year. None of that's true. None of that's true. So that's the whole point of having all the input. So that's the first one. I want to make sure that we can overcome whatever anxiety some students have, because rightly or wrongly there was a misinformation that they have. And ensure that students, that they're going to have full input and a process governed by your Student Government Association to make sure that you get to see it and get weigh in, period. And know that it's taken seriously, because that's why we're doing what we're doing. In the end, this is what I would say. If we do this right, and maybe it's not going to happen right away, but when you graduate, and this is what I told SGA, because none of this is going to affect you. Not any of this is going to affect one of you in this room. Not one of this thing is going to affect you. Not, very little, if at all. But when you graduate, years from now, I want you to be able to look back and go, Morehead State's doing all right. I'm proud to be Morehead State. You know,
could this kind of impede the rising tuition costs?
You know, the whole tuition thing is based on one. If we got more state appropriations, because we have it costs to run. We're like a business. We got to pay people. Our biggest expense, though, by the way, is personnel. That's our biggest cost. Secondly, is you have fixed and avoidable guys. We got to pay. We got to turn the lights on. So it costs to run this place. So it costs to provide you with an education. So it used to be that the state provided a lot of it, like 60, 70%. And then we charged a little tuition and made up some money over here, and we were happy. State, every year, a little less, a little less, a little less. The state also says how much we can raise your tuition. Again, there's a real problem. You might know this under private schools because the tuition's so high, you leave with debt. The whole debt thing is a big deal anymore. So how do you know, the state's giving us less money, you know, but if I raise your tuition too much, you'll leave with too much debt. And if I'm offering you a degree that you can't get a job in, you can't pay off your debt. This is the bind we're in. So I've got to offer degrees that you think when you graduate, no, you can go out and find a job or whatever you want to do with it, right? If you take a little debt on, you can pay that debt. I would be irresponsible not provide you with those degrees. Period. I'd be irresponsible for raising your tuition up beyond you can afford it. You know, so as the state gives us less and less money and they have less and less to give, we can't raise your tuition because you couldn't afford it without going to big time debt. At the same time, we got to run a school. This is the bind we're in. Right? This is why we got to assess, are we living within our means? Are we offering the right product that our customers want? And you're the citizens of the Commonwealth are our customers. You. You know, is there another degree? Or I could put 10 more students in that major where students are really successful and they're doing well, but I can't do that because I'm funding a major that no one's in. So if it's monitor, that's where you get the 2016. Well, we said if you're in that group, by fall 2016, it's a year from fall, you have to have put a plan in place to get all the things that get better. That's where you're getting that thing. And that means we think you have some opportunities there, but we just can't wait and wait and wait. There's, you know, you gotta move. You gotta act towards this. So that's the fall 2016. If a program is still on the elimination piece, then it's what's called the teach out. And teach out means is if you're in that program, you're going to finish that program. Right? We just wouldn't bring any new students in because that wouldn't be good. But anybody in that program, they teach out and they finish their program.
So it would be pretty much impossible to have a lower tuition even after these adjustments?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's about lowering tuition. I think the real struggle is to keeping it going up so high, again, as the state appropriations decline and other revenues aren't really, you know, and we're committed to raising faculty salaries. That started last year. It'll go on next year because we really weren't keeping pace, and staff salaries as well. You know, it's that delicate balance again between what the state's given us, what we call auxiliary monies, how much we make in the football tickets, you know, other things that we do, and then what we get from tuition. And all that's got to work in some way to keep your costs down so you can get the right degree and go out and be successful. A big problem for us, which you'll see in the self-study, is graduation rates. We don't graduate students like we should. Why not? You know, you come here, you take a loan out and stuff, you don't graduate. Well, that ain't good. You know, you've come and taken a loan out. I don't care if it's $10,000, you owe $10,000 and you got nothing to show for it. Something's wrong with that picture. So we got to have the right degree to get you here that you think, hey, you know, I can probably get out and have a good career, whether it's go to grad school or go out and get a job. I think I can afford this. If I have to take loans out, you know, all right, because I think in the other end of this, I can pay it off. But if we're not offering you the right degree, or we bring you in and we don't have a lot of good mechanism to get you out in a reasonable amount of time and you're accumulating debt, we failed you. And in part, the self-study is about to try to address those things. Take the money that we do have and put it in places where we think we can do the most good. That's what this is about. And we're doing it in a way that we've asked everybody, how should we do it? And then once we're doing it, tell me if you agree with our recommendations, students, faculty, and staff. In the end, I have no doubt that things will change from what you've read, and I'll have no doubt that some people won't like it.
But it has to be done.
If you want to look back 10 years now, go, boy, I'm really proud of Moorhead, yes. And we're not alone. It's nationwide. You just can't read the Chronicle and other things without reading how the people are going through this. It's been going on for 5 or 6 years. It's just now getting to us.